I did not mean to lie to him. I told myself that every time I left his office. But each session, my lies grew roots, twining through the truth until I could no longer tell which was which. The first time he looked at Miral, I looked at Might felt like being undressed in a room full of strangers. It was a Tuesday in November, New York rain streaking the windows behind him, the smell of wet asphalt clinging to my jacket. I had booked the appointment because I couldn't sleep, couldn't breathe without thinking about the one thing I swore I'd never admit. But when Dr. Ethan Cole asked, "So, what brings you here?" I smiled and said, "Work stress." That was the first lie. He nodded like he knew better. His blonde hair was neat, his voice calm, but his eyes, God, those eyes held the kind of quiet that made you want to spill every sin. I didn't. Not then. Instead, I told him about imaginary deadlines and fake office drama, weaving a fiction I thought he'd believe. Weeks turned into months. The truth stayed locked in my chest. I was in love with someone I couldn't have. That someone was sitting 3 feet away, listening to my made-up problems while I memorized the shape of his mouth. It was torture. Ethan had a way of leaning in when you spoke, his hands folded like he was holding back every solution to your life's chaos. Sometimes I'd catch myself imagining his hands on Menet professionally, not ethically, but the way a drowning man imagines land. One day, during a session when I just finished spinning another harmless story, he tilted his head and said, "Liam, do you ever feel like you're hiding something important from yourself?" My throat closed. My heart slammed against my ribs. He didn't say, "From me." He didn't have to. The thing about lying to a therapist is you start lying to yourself too. I told myself I could keep doing this, keep seeing him, keep wanting him in the shadows. But shadows have a way of shifting when the light moves. The shift came in late February. I was already raw from a fight with my father, the kind that scraped old wounds until they bled. I walked into Ethan's office without my usual mask, my voice hoarse when I said, "I think I'm broken." He didn't reach for his notepad. He just looked at me, really looked. And for the first time, I didn't see a therapist across from me. I saw a man, one I wanted, one I feared. "What if?" I said before I could stop myself. "The thing I want is the thing I can't have?" His brow furrowed. "Why can't you have it?" "Because you're my therapist. Because I've built every wall between us myself. Because I'm terrified that if I tell you, you'll never look at me again." I didn't say any of that. I just laughed, brittle. "Boundaries. You know." Ethan's lips pressed into a line. "Boundaries can be respected and still discussed, Liam." I left that day with my chest burning. That night, I dreamed of him, dreamed of his hand cupping my face, of the way he'd say my name if he wasn't my doctor but my lover. I tried to cancel my next session. I tried to stop showing up. But Ethan called, not his secretary, not an email, Ethan himself. His voice low and warm through the line. "If you're running, Liam, at least tell me why." I went back. That session changed everything. I don't remember what lie I started with. I just remember the moment I stopped mid-sentence, stared at the floor, and said, "It's you. You're the reason I can't sleep. You're the reason I'm here. I can't stop thinking about you." The air felt heavier. Ethan didn't speak right away. When he did, his voice was soft. "I suspected." That word suspected was a lifeline and a noose. He leaned back, took a slow breath. "Liam, this isn't something we can act on while I'm your therapist." But he paused, and my pulse roared in my ears. "It doesn't mean I don't feel something." My body went still. I'm human, Liam," he said simply. "And I care about you. More than I should." In that moment, everything I'd feared and hoped for collided. For weeks, we danced on the edge. Our sessions became electric, filled with unsaid words and stolen glances. The boundary stayed, but it was frayed, worn thin by the truth we now shared. The breaking point came in May. My therapy was officially ending. Ethan said I'd made enough progress, but we both knew it was an exit strategy. On our last day, the room felt too small, the silence too loud. When I stood to leave, he walked me to the door. Our hands brushed. I could have left. I should have left. Instead, I turned back. "So this is it?" His eyes searched mine. "Only if we want it to be." We stood there, the air between us trembling. Then, slowly, deliberately, Ethan stepped closer. His hand cupped my jaw, and I swear my heart stopped. "This isn't therapy anymore," he murmured. And then he kissed me. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was the kind of kiss that says everything words have failed to say, the kind that unravels months of lies and replaces them with something terrifyingly real. That was the moment I realized truth doesn't always destroy. Sometimes it sets you free. We didn't have a plan. We didn't need one. All I knew was that for the first time in years, I wasn't lying, not to him, not to myself. And when Ethan looked at me now, it wasn't as my therapist. It was as the man who finally knew every secret I'd been too scared to tell. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.